Greetings, everyone. Core here, and time for a midnight review. Been a while, of course. Just getting back on track of things, and man, I forget how awesome it is to go to the movie theaters to see a movie on the big screen and stuff. I mean, I have a pretty decent setup here and stuff. I have, yeah, I even bought a little projector and stuff to, kind of get that feel, but it's just completely different. Being there, just especially in the Dolby cinemas, I always recommend them just because they're so much nicer. But man, um, this was a heck of a movie to watch. Joker was this week's movie, and it's interesting. Like, honestly, it's hard to talk about it without spoiling much, and I really don't want to spoil much because I want people to see this movie. Uh, Even though I can see why there's controversy and stuff, I did try to stay away from those reviews and all the controversy that's been going on about this movie, and more or less, I kind of stayed away from it. Which I think helped because I kind of went into this pretty fresh. Besides watching the trailers and stuff, and knowing the source material, of course. But yeah, it was interesting to see what they did with just the Jokers. I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler. There's no Batman. There's no other really any other crime boss or syndicate or anything in Gotham. It's pretty much he was. They pretty much made it where he was the start, and it's interesting to see uh, the creation of the man whose history had been unknown and always kept mysterious, to being that he could be multiple people, to that he was just a creation of society, which that's kind of where they kind of lead in with this movie, that he is just a creation of society. And man, it's interesting to say the least. You know, it's been a while since I've seen a movie that has kept me this involved, just thinking about just even past. I mean, I saw this a few hours ago, and I've been holding on to just thinking about the movie for the last like hour or two, just before I do this review, or normally I do it as soon as I get home. But yeah, man, this movie is something. It's definitely changing up the genre because yeah, some people might think of it as a comic book movie. It's definitely not a superhero movie because there are no heroes in this movie. It's the creation of a villain, which really we haven't had a movie like that. Um, the creation of the bad guy, and there is no happy ending, to this story because you're creating probably, the most iconic villain in the DC universe. Not just for Batman, but the whole DC universe. The Joker, which, man, I think if this movie wasn't based on the Joker and it was just like this random guy, going and turning into this person, it would be completely different. Nobody would be talking about it. But since it has that Joker title, it does bring discussion to it, and it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I do recommend it, but I will say do not expect a comic book movie. This is pretty different, kind of how Batman Begins changed up how superhero movies were. It put a more realistic um, setting in a way and just grounded it a lot more. But this one tackles more illnesses, mental illnesses especially, and just how society had changed. And it does take stabs, of course, at current society and pretty much where we came from. Granted, of course, the comics, always reflect the current state of what society is when they're written. So, yeah, it definitely doesn't feel pandered. It doesn't feel like anything I've seen for a while. Like I said, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but you kind of know where it's going, and yeah, everything seems so interesting. The way that it's shot, the way it's filmed, Uh, the acting of Joaquin Phoenix is actually amazing. His, I mean, he's always been one of my favorite actors, and he always brings, 100, 110%, if not more, to his roles. And man, if you know his background stuff, it seems a little dangerous playing this kind of character, but man, he pulls it off like convincingly well. And he needs a nomination for this role. Um, yeah, we all think Keith Slater is the best Joker, even though I would say Mark Hamill is, even though he was just a voice acting and stuff, but the way he portrayed himself was really amazing. And yeah, I mean, it's I mean, after coming off the Joker from like Suicide Squad, it is night and day, literally. Uh, just the type of Joker we're dealing with here, and I mean, some people say, yeah, it could not, it could just not be the Joker we know about, but like I said in the comics and stuff, there's actually been theories, and they actually went, I think, with one storyline, or I think the main story they actually have after the reboot and stuff, they actually say there's actually three Jokers, and this might be one of them, and he is interesting to say the least. This movie got me in one of those mindsets after I watched it, where it's just like I kind of get it. I kind of get where he's coming from, and I'm actually kind of surprised they let this movie take its turn to go where it did, and the way it's filmed, and just everything about it just feels unsettling, but also familiar in a way. And I think that's its greatest strength is it's really unknowing because you think, yeah, it's based on comics, it's based on the Joker. We've had 80 years of almost this character, and yet this is a completely different take on him. Which every time they make the Joker, it's a different take every single time. So it's interesting to see what they do. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any sequels to this movie. I think it's just they've said it's just a standalone movie, which I honestly hope they do keep it just its own thing, its own movie. Don't tie it in with anything, and it works so much better. But yeah, man, it got me in one of those moods, and it was interesting to say the least. Uh, but yeah, so check it out if you're interested at all. It's not definitely not for kids. Definitely, it's gonna make you think. It's not a movie to be taken lightly in a way, and I hope it's not taken too seriously by some people because there are some parts that could be very dangerous. But hopefully, they do realize it is a movie. It is a story. It is not how things should be. So hopefully nothing too crazy happens. So uh, that's that, man. I just like I said, I just can't get too much more into it because I don't want to spoil much because it is an amazing movie. But next week I might check out Gemini Man with Will Smith against Will Smith. uh, but we'll see. I'm not too fond of it. The trailers haven't really been too interesting. But definitely probably the week after I will be seeing Zombieland Double Tap. And October looks like it's gonna be a pretty good month. I do, like I said, I had uh, tomorrow, literally, or later today, or a couple days ago, depending when you're watching this video. I'm going to see the 20th anniversary of SmackDown premiering on Fox live at the Staples Center here in LA. Should be fun. Might record some stuff, maybe even upload some stuff, but we'll see. Um, gonna hang out with friends. Gonna be pretty interesting. So that's that. Next week, of course, I also do have the LA Comic Con here absolutely at the Staples Center. So that's gonna be fun. I'm hoping to do a little bit more than what I did at AX because they don't really have too much of a cosplay um, Masquerade thing. But yeah, so that's gonna be that. So until next time, guys. Later.